Good day, you beautiful people. Welcome to The Moral Reason with your boy Andreas and Nigel Farage. He's not in Clacton or the UK, as it turns out. Shock. I'm generally lost for words right now, but just check this nonsense out, shall we? Now, of course, this is on GBB's YouTube channel, because why wouldn't it be? Good God. Just for full disclosure and fun fact, CPAC is the exact place where you can publicly speak, do a Yahtzee salute, and you get applauded. Yeah. Oh. Right, everyone grab your coffee in the straitjackets.
We go live now to Maryland, where Nigel Farage is taking to the stage. Here we go.
See if I can do your job, Patrick.
Thank you so very much
With the idiot.
reception. It's great to be here, and how amazing it is. You know, 13 years ago, I was the only foreign speaker, and now CPAC is a global brand. Congratulations to Matt and Mercedes Schlapp for making it happen. And what a...
Matt and Mercedes Schlapp. People take note of the name because I wonder how much they've paid him.
time it is to cross the pond. My country. You can't say anything, or you might get put in prison.
You can't say anything or you might be put in prison. Yeah, that's not exactly true, is it, Nigel? I mean, you can't say anything racist, you can't say anything xenophobic, you can't say anything that incites hatred, violence, or anything that incites the August riots 2024. Farage.
Being poorer, everybody's miserable. We're governed by a left-wing, awful government. Suddenly, post-November the 5th, America is optimistic. It's upbeat. It's the beginning of the golden age in America. And it is all because of one totally extraordinary individual. You know, I can tell you that if you take on the establishment, they do not come out with a tray of drinks.
Full disclosure, one, we're very well aware of Nigel's bootlicking of the Donald. Second, big point here, Nigel is the establishment. He makes millions of pounds a year. He has a lot of very, very deep pockets in various outside projects outside of his actual political job. Otherwise, he would be in Clacton doing his job right now, which he's currently not. Thirdly, if he's so silenced, if he's so I can't say anything, why is he on every single platform in the United Kingdom talking freely?
The whole of the British establishment wanted us to be members of the globalist European Union. All the parties, all the big businesses, all the trade unions. And it was almost me alone saying, this is a crazy idea.
The trade unions who help workers with their, basic working human rights. The same people and the same workers and working class, Nigel, that you voted against them having rights in the workplace. Yeah.
We want control of our sovereignty, our borders, and our identity back with the British people. And for daring to say that, they made my life hell. But the tough times I went through are as nothing compared to what they put Donald J. Trump through.
Well, you asked for a lot of the trouble when you opened your mouth, being, xenophobic, hateful, lying, misogynistic, embellishing, lying, false information feeding, disinformation feeding, lying. There's a lot of stuff that you have done, Nigel, and a lot of your comeuppance is very well deserved. And the fact that you still be able to go on to GBBs like this and talk for 3 or 4 hours a week, get paid, what was it, 70 grand a month or something silly? Yeah, your life's been made real hell, hasn't it, Nigel?
It went on for year after year after year. Endless court cases, mainstream media abuse, harassment of his family, debanking from some of the worst financial institutions, assassination attempts. And yet this man has come through it braver, stronger, wiser, but at any point he is simply
wiser. Okay, so bear in mind he's gone for a lot of these things, and do also bear in mind that he is also an adjudicated rapist, as per the words of a judge. Fact. Obviously, assassination attempts is atrocious, and that shouldn't have happened anywhere in the shape of anywhere. Like, it shouldn't have happened. There's no justification for that. It's Jesus wept. He's actually sitting there bootlicking him, and the sheer fact he's actually sat there and gone, he's now wiser. Do bear in mind this is the same man who signed an order and publicly stated that you will be the gender you are assigned at conception. Those were his exact words. Conception. Jesus wept. Yeah, he's really come out wiser, hasn't he? Where are those? We got any evidence of those people eating dogs yet? We've all forgotten about that.
The bravest man that I know, and we should all applaud him. We really should. We really should. And what a pick. What a pick for Vice President. You know, very often, around the world, very often Vice Presidents, American Vice Presidents, are not particularly noticed. Not taken that seriously. But after the speech at the Munich Security Conference, I think we can say with some confidence that the American VP is going to be a major part of global politics. And
I think we need to look into old JD Vance, don't we? Some of the things that he's come out with recently. Let's go on for a little bit more, shall we?
I loved it. Did you enjoy his speech? Well, I tell you what, they didn't, did they? They absolutely hated it. It rather reminded me of my times in the European Parliament a decade ago, getting up saying the bloke...
This is the same European Parliament that Nigel's quite happy to claim a pension from when he hits the ripe old age of 63. He'll get a pension every single year of £73,000. Imagine wanting to vote out of something, but then still happily taking the money from that something. There's a word for that, and I can't think of what it's called, is it? I don't know. Dearie me. Jesus. Just... JD Vance, though. Let's have a little look at some of the things he said, shall we? Oh boy, does this make for some disturbing reading. So, this was of course updated on November 6, 2024 from The Cut, which is a New York paper. So, you know, of course, we're talking about this man. He's the man who Nigel's just gone to bat for. He's disconcerted by the idea that the country is being run by childless cat ladies. That was his beef in 2021 with Jennifer Aniston. Jesus wept. He's disturbed by teachers who don't have children. I think there's far more things to be disturbed by than people who don't have children. I think people with children should be rewarded with extra votes. Jesus wept. He's also said some frightening things about reproductive health. Vance's views on abortion, that if it isn't acceptable even in cases of rape and or incest, and that law enforcement should play a role in policing patients' medical decisions. Oh dear God. Let's have a look at what he said in Germany, shall we? Okay, so this is the speech that stunned Europe. This is the speech that old Farage was on about. Ah dear, I've breezed through some of this transcript. This is of course from the foreignpolicy.com. So this is the word for word verbatim speech that he said. We will just go down to the UK portion, shall we? I mean, just look at this, for example. I looked at Brussels, where EU commissaires warned citizens they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content. Nothing wrong with that. Also, this very country, Germany, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of a, quote, combating misogyny on internet, a day of action. Bearing in mind as well that we have just also verified that JD Vance doesn't agree that women who get raped and end up pregnant, they shouldn't have the right to have an abortion if they choose that. This is where this man's head is. I went to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago government convicted a Christian activist of burning a wow, yep, okay. Sweden's laws to supposedly protect freedom of expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risk of offending the group that holds the belief. Basically, he's crying and moaning about the fact that there's no freedom of consequence. Right, and let's see what he says about us. Perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the UK, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons, in particular, in the crosshairs. That is actually quite true, just not in the religion that he thinks. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith-Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 metres from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes, not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. After British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply it was on behalf of his unborn son and his former girlfriend aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalises silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 metres of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Okay, let's have a look at that, shall we? And here it is. Prey man breached abortions clinic safe zone. Physiotherapist prayed outside. Yep, we got that. Outside the clinic, Connor handed to conditional discharge, want to pay more than £9,000. Court was told I'd been praying for his unborn son, right? Safe zone introduced 2 years prior, do bear in mind, because October 2024. Bans activity in favour or against abortion services. So basically, like, whether you agree or whether you don't, you just can't do it. During the case, BCP Council heard Connor had emailed the council the day before to inform it of his silent vigil, as he has done on previous occasions. On the day he was asked to leave the area by a community officer who spoke to him for an hour and 40 minutes, he refused. On consultation, 75% of the 2021 241 residents support the introduction of a buffer zone. A new law means buffer zones will come into force outside all clinics in England and Wales at the end of October, precipitating protests within 150. I don't see anything wrong with that at all. I think if anything, people should have the freedom of choice. This is the point. Vance has got an issue with women having freedom of choice. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat. Really. Just come see my friends, but also in the interest of truth, I will admit that sometimes the loudest voices of censorship have not come from within Europe, but from within my own country, where the prior have been threatened and bullied social media companies to censor so-called misinformation. Misinformation. Like, for example, the idea that C virus had likely leaked from the lab in China, from our own government encouraged private companies to silence people who dared to utter what turned out to be an obvious truth. So I come in today with an observation, not just an observation, but with an offer. To be precisely the opposite, I hope we can work together on that. Washington, there's a new sheriff in town. Blah, 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 blah. Jesus, well, this man does drivel on, doesn't he? But this is the speech that Nigel was championing. Good God. Does Nigel even know where Clacton is?